If anybody gets impatient with my two synchronicity stories, the part of the video you probably would appreciate more starts after the little colors on the zipper. And if you're at work, there's not too much shown here. You should be fine if you can't see it. Thanks. Hey guys, it's Matt. All right, you reality junkies, it's time to get serious again. Serious. No cat piss, no Kurt fooling around. Although the Obama story I'll talk about once a year. It's so incredible. And I forgot a key component about when they took him back to the Ivy League and made him head of the Harvard Law Review, and he didn't write a single paper. But I'm not going to get into that. We'll have to revisit that. Kurt, by the way, I'm going to get serious. This is back to the hardcore reality junkie stuff. But Kurt was in a bar fight Sunday night, and he's still in the hospital. He had no ID. I told the authorities he doesn't exist. They didn't believe me. He's being held because he has no ID. If you're at work, I'm going to show a few pictures. You don't need to see this. The synchronicities keep coming to real people. This is incredible. I'm going to talk about this plant that you're looking at now. Yeah, it's a magenta flower. If you're at work and can't see this, I'll tell you the whole backstory. And then there's another incredible synchronicity that happened to me. I'll show you the picture for that. Then 3 or 4 other topics. But the first thing I was thinking before presenting these synchronicities, we see them. Okay, it's happening to, I can't speak for everybody, but I think it's probably happening to everybody listening to one degree or another. My question is, like the normal people in our lives, or my friend Tony, does it happen to them and they just don't notice? Or does it not happen to them? Do you have to be of a certain awakening or spiritual evolution for the synchronicities to occur? Or is it happening equally because of just a change in the entire reality to, quote, my friend Tony? And he's just, of course he wouldn't notice. The things we'll point out here, and somebody may be yelling at us saying, Matt, it's, what is that old term? I called it a while back, alpophilia, like the dog food. It's like apophilia, an accusation of conspiracy theorists where connections exist, or the attempt to make a connection between things or to tie things together when there is no connection, when it is completely random. Apophilia, or alpophilia, whatever you prefer. Guys, when this happens to you and me and real people, I'm not going to do it. People are not going to do it. It's not alpophilia. These are real synchronicities. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. Whether we're creating it, it's possible, of course, probably likely, or reality itself is kind of saying, you guys are basically ready to check out or morph out of here, like the ancient cultures that don't exist. There's no trace of them anymore other than these big megalithic structures. Always had theories that they won and they figured out they just morphed out of here. What do we do with the game board? Leave it for the next sons of bitches that come in. Call them Homo sapien. Eventually we'll evolve into Homo sapien. Let them play on this game board. They'll try to be figuring out these damn structures the whole time. And little would they know that when these structures were built, the prior game boards, the whole reality was different. These giant 50-ton blocks we could change the molecular composition and make it as light as a feather, put it in place, and then change the molecular composition back. They won't even be aware. They'll still be thinking scenes from the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston is real. Thousands of Hebrews with ropes and greased blocks. The woman Jezebel greasing the blocks. Her dress got caught underneath, almost got sucked under the block, greasing the blocks and the pulling of ropes. That's what people will believe. And then these university professors can make their $700,000 a year with their ridiculous theories, call themselves Egyptologists, and act smart so they can keep a job and look themselves in the mirror like the American Psycho. All right, let me tell the first synchronicity story, then one more, and then we'll get into some other topics. I guess I started focusing on the magenta about 5 weeks ago or so via the work of Steffers and others. And Pam, this is my plant, okay, on my deck. I don't buy flowers. Here's what happens every year. Pam will go out to this place called Produce Junction, and she goes crazy. She loves these flowers. She'll buy 10, 12 hanging pots. Half of them end up dying because she has to go away at work, and then it's been dry and hot this summer here. Some areas have gotten a lot of rain, downpours. Others are dried and all burnt out. It's been dry and hot. She gave me, every year she'll say, "Oh, you want this one? I can't get it in the ground, or I didn't put it." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So this year I took one from her, and this is in June, I would say, before we were looking at magenta or anything like that. Just of all the plants and all the gin joints in all the world, she said, "Do you want one for your deck? Fine, I'll take it for whatever reason." And so she gives me this thing, and I water it whenever I can. I'll throw a cup of water into it. And again, through June and July, it had real good flowers, all magenta. But I wasn't thinking about the magenta. I wasn't paying attention to it. Then it gets, through July, hot, dry. Maybe I should have moved a little bit more in the shade. It just doesn't produce flowers. So I guess it was about a week ago. There was no flowers on it, and I started to think, this plant, it just hit me. Even though I've been looking at the magenta for a month and it has had some flowers, it's just like it's been on my deck all summer, and it's a natural thing. I'm like looking at the magenta in movies. It just didn't connect for me. It had no flowers, and I went, wait a second, this thing might be magenta. Anyway, I start really watering it, and it produces, as you saw, it produced one flower for me the other day. That's really at the end of its life. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I don't buy flowers. I put one, I don't know what this thing is, petunia, begonia, something. I put one flower on my deck this summer, and it produced a perfect magenta that I didn't even realize till I watered it enough to bring a flower back. Okay, I was blown away. I'm not sure you guys are like, that's it, man. I waited around for that. It is pretty amazing synchronicity, considering how much we've been looking at the magenta. It's not one of 1,000 flowers I picked out. I don't have any other flowers. So, okay, Matt, at this point, either people are going to be amazed or they're not. Move on. Okay, these are my shorts. And on the zipper, it has a little, I never really looked closely at it, a little flag or something. I knew there were some colors on the zipper. You don't stare down there. Even when you're doing certain things, you don't stare down there. Red, gold, and green, little colors. I don't know what it was. Again, it's all zoomed in here. It looks all big. It's not much of anything when you're, I don't know, when you're at the truck stop. Red, gold, and green. Okay. Now, you remember about a week ago, the big video about that huge segment in The Wiz. Hundreds and hundreds of dancers. Green is in, and now the Wizard of Oz, Wiz, announces green is dead, and now red is in, and red and then gold. Okay, fine. That's the green, red, and gold in the Wiz presentation a week ago. Now, right after that video, same day, somebody emails me or a comment that, Matt, remember Boy George and Culture Club sang about same thing as the Wiz was first red, then green, then gold. George Bush and Culture Club. No. Boy George and Culture Club. Chameleon. Red, my dream. He says, my dream, red, gold, and green. After the word dream, red, Matt, don't sing that again. Red, gold, and green. So somebody, and then I said, well, yeah, I forgot about that. That George Bush boy, sang about that in Karma Chameleon. Okay, thanks for reminding me. Right after I present the Wiz, red, gold, and green. At the exact same time this is going on, I've been doing laundry. And on a hot, dry day, you're way better off putting towels and thick items over the railing outside than packing the dryer. So I know I figured I had 1 or 2 or 3 things still left on the deck. There was only one thing left on the deck. These shorts. So I do the red, gold, and green in the Wiz video. Then the comment comes in about red, gold, and green Karma Chameleon. 1 minute later, I'm walking out for a glass of water. I'm like, do I have laundry still left on the deck? And there was only one thing still out there, still hanging over the railing, the pair of shorts. As I approach the pair of shorts, I'm like, there's a little color. There's 3 colors on the zipper on this thing, right? And I know, guys, in this picture, it seems like it's huge. It's not. It's not. Okay, it's not. I knew there were colors there. I never really looked at it. Or I get maybe my unconscious or subconscious did. I couldn't tell you on a test what the colors were. As I'm walking up to it, I'm like, this is going to be red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green 1 minute later. I was blown away by it. I told Greg the story. He thought it was a pretty amazing synchronicity. I hope that came out right. A lot of you are like, that one, that sucked too. Look, both these synchronicities kind of blew me away. I wouldn't be telling you this story. Let's talk about something else. Actually, real quick, one more thing. People may be asking, why did Boy George sing about red, gold, and green? The theories are all over the place on the internet. One, the red, gold, and green seems to be the color of Rastafarianism or Rastafarians, the Rastafarian struggle. Some of the same colors were taken from some of the flags of African countries, or tribal colors from Africa, representing different struggles. So that's all mixed in, but it is not clear why George... Okay, they almost did it again. Boy George Bush was singing about red, gold, and green. It is not clear. But these are, though, the colors of Rastafarianism, which is actually considered a religion, almost in a formal sense, which I didn't know. Guys, I'm going to introduce a new term I've been thinking about, just called reality replacement, because that's what they're out to do to a degree. And the magenta... of course, is playing, of course to me, but it still needs to be proven exactly how that's being used, but that's part of it. It could be a byproduct as well, where whatever's being done, then the magenta comes back to us, kind of showing us to a degree the reality manipulation. But the term at the base level, first grade, reality replacement, what exists, metaphysical reality itself, in some way, they are incrementally replacing with something else. How exactly does that work, Matt, at each step? Who knows? Who knows? We don't understand it just yet. Maybe we never will, but this concentric reality rings diagram that we talked about probably a year and a half ago, it's more important than ever, I believe. No matter what they're trying to with the magenta, it's really like the part of this diagram here. If you're at work or something, and can't see it. Remember the bubble. There's a small bubble around you, your heart-based reality. What's real, what's true. Then there's the ego, the head-based reality. That's the next ring out, which is it can interface with the screen, the fake reality, the faux, the corrupted. Interfaces with your true heart-based center, or potentially your spiritual self, through the ego or the head-based reality. It's the hand that reaches out to grasp the slimy Clinton hand, or not milk hand, coming in. So it's more important than ever. We're not going to get into all the details of this slide or this PDF presentation again, but just hold on to what's real. Your heart-based center, your spiritual connections. I don't know, it was 4 or 5 years ago. I said, you hear all these YouTube videos about going into becoming a 4D or 5D person, or leveling up, or changing into something else. And 4 or 5 years ago, I said, it's the opposite. This era for us, for me, I can only speak for myself here, is the opposite. This is when I did the long shanks. I kept doing the long. It's time to survive. It's time to just hold on. That's what this era to me is, not to level up and to morph into this and to become a beautiful butterfly. No, it's to hold on. Hold on to the pieces it wants to take, or how it wants you to give I think there are other eras or other times or other experiences for us where it is up to us to morph into a beautiful butterfly, but not here. That's to me. This is a time when you can lose yourself. Hold on your reality bubble. What's real and true. If you hold on to what's around you, they can't come in and corrupt it. They can't. You have to meet it in the middle. So no matter what we decide, the magenta is a way. to get into the center bubble here, or potentially they're charge of the light brigades into the center bubble, potentially in some way. The magenta is a side, a byproduct of that, like nuclear waste. The magenta to me is an incursion of some kind, a Panzer tank blitzkrieg with light, where, it doesn't necessarily mean it can come in to your heart-based center or anybody else that's real and affect you. It has to get you to affect yourself or to think differently. Again, I don't think it can do anything to a real person directly. The major high-level strategy of these creeps and the Not Nilk system, strategically, not tactically, is very simple. Well, it's at the simplest level, and it's always worth reminding. Well, I can only speak for myself, but to me it's clear. It wants you to cut off your spiritual self or forget your spiritual self. That's its high-level strategy. So its lower-level strategy is to get real people to accept a reality that is completely not natural, completely what should not be, what should not exist, and to accept that as normal, to have people habituated to the perversion, to the degradation, where and that's also related to the ship of fools process of what they do with reality. There, reality morphs. They will use, in some way, we don't understand, they're using the magenta as basically, at this point, if I had to pick, and Steffers would probably agree, almost like a weapon at this point. And the ship of fools sails, and people, real or not, or we can only, it doesn't matter to talk about NPCs. If NPCs exist the way people believe they may, they're always going to go along with what the Not Nilk or the screen wants. So what's the point in even talking about them? It's only interesting to speculate, how many real people are out there. And I think there are a lot of real people out there, as real spiritually as you and me, that are on the ship of fools, that think this is just normal. Oh, it's just having a new disease every 18 months now. That's just normal. It's all the perversion and bastardization has been normalized. There's a major strategy for these Not Nilk sons of bitches. And like tactically, the magenta is one way they're doing it. There's a lot of ways they're doing it. The symptoms, one of the main symptoms of it, probably related to the magenta, this whole strategy of just taking reality to lower and lower rungs, more and more debauchery, lower and lower standards of what should be considered acceptable, gets the words like adulterization, degradation, bastardization, Clintonization, if you will. I like it. It's a Clinton. That whole genre of art. It's a Clintonization. It used to be great in the 1700s. Now it sucks. It's a Clintonization. Whatever. Matt, don't adopt that, please. I won't. But it's remember you guys helped me with What's Being Destroyed a few videos back. And some people emailed me and put comments that, Matt, don't just look to movies and sports. I mean, how about the family relationship? The Waltons has been destroyed. Regular relationships between men and women has been destroyed. Everything. It's not just Thor comic book characters, Matt. It was people reminded me, and thank you for reminding me. Matt, there's no reason for a list or asking us for a list. Everything has been destroyed based on what it was or what it should be for the most natural and pure real person experience. And, they're the Terminator, like we've talked about. It never stops. They're never satisfied. For 2 seconds, you won't see them putting their feet up on the desk. Say, let's celebrate this mini win. It's always what's next? What's the lower rung for these sons of bitches? It's just incredible. It really is incredible. Guys, it's not all bad news. How many tactics do we see? The strategies do we see And at the simplest level, what they're trying to do is very simple. It can't do it to you directly. You have to do it to yourself. You have to reach up and shake hands with the screen. Just in knowing and talking about the things being aware. It's the same things we've been talking about over and over. The third grader sees the magic trick. Therefore, he sees it's a drunk magician with a drunk Rodney Dangerfield and Easy Money waiting to take pictures of the little kid's party. Once you see through it all, it can't get you anymore unless you really, lose yourself and start shaking hands with it again. Does it mean we've entirely won? No, we have a lot more to understand and a lot more to do and the work to do. But look, there's something with the magenta that's getting very strange. It's the reality. It's almost like it's generating a whole new level of breadcrumbs to get us chasing the governing dynamics of how the reality works again. And the complicated nature of how colors are presenting themselves to me really right now, I mean, it's really, really strange. And I think it calls for us to, again, get in that damn Professor Marvels from the Wizard of Oz balloon and go up to 100,000 feet. Stay up there and look down at it from there. If you get too close to it, man, it'll eat you up. What a coincidence. A month and a half, 2 months before the big magenta thing, here's John Keel's book, Mothman Prophecies. The whole magenta is not just one exact color. It doesn't even exist, guys, from a wavelength perspective. There's kind of a range. Can be a little bit pink, can be a little bit purple. So the whole cover of Mothman Prophecies is magenta. Before we were even looking at the magenta, somebody comes to me and said, Matt, you got to go buy Mothman Prophecies and read it. Not because of the hundreds and hundreds of accounts of UFOs and aliens, and it's not just Mothman, and the Richard Gere movie doesn't really have much to do with the book, or it's not true to the book, so forget the Richard Gere movie. Saying because there's this theme that comes out ever so subtly in Mothman Prophecies that somehow the reality delivers what people are expecting, even if what they're expecting gets very, very strange. So I don't, it takes me a long time to read something because I'll generally read right before going to bed and I'm tired. I can sometimes 2, 3, 4, or 5 pages and just go right to sleep. So it takes forever. I get through it and I make a big presentation, all magenta, but we're not even looking at the magenta at this point. And there's an old cover here of Mothman Prophecies that I know this looks purple, but people would still say this is in the range of magenta. It's not just one exact color. The true magenta, if you had to pick one, was that flower. But this is a little bit more purple, but still in the range. In some way, how everything is being ruined goes along with their use or are noticing the ridiculous over instance of the magenta. But where everything is being ruined, there's usually an element of technology being introduced and then technology increasing that ruins it. It goes hand in hand, linear relationship. Ruined on one axis, technology on the other. Greg's telling me about all this technology in bowling. I'll show it to you in just a second. But first, for those at work, really? He's got the mask on. He's about to bowl. Stay safe while you bowl by yourself. Oh, give me a break. Okay, so Greg's like, have you watched pro bowling? I'm like, no. But it's like, well, they'll tell you the spin of the ball. They'll tell you where it's breaking, all this breakdown, all this technology and spin rate and this and that. And it's like, yeah, even that is being destroyed with technology. I'll just show you a little bit here. What does it say? 20.8 mile per hour where the ball is at this point, 475 revolutions per minute. The breaking point is 6.7, position and error 8.3. It's just bowling, you assholes. Just leave it alone. Some people might like to watch it. Guy steps up and bowls. And then it's a normalization of the technology. People just think this is the next step. This is great. If you bowl and like to watch bowling, great. My grandmother, I remember, used to watch bowling. There wasn't a lot on in the mid-'70s when I was at her house. I watched a little bit of it. But what do you need all the technology for? It doesn't increase anything. If a guy's going for a strike before he gets thrown out into the street and loses the tournament and loses his wife, his kids, and his house, then the stress of that moment of he having to bowl a strike to win, what do you need all this spin rate and shit for? People just think this is just normal. It just has to be part of the deal. It goes along for the ride. It's all one of the major tactic with this technology, guys, is it's simply they change reality as the ship of fools sails to, we always talk about people will one day have to choose going into the upload environment or choose Ray Kurzweil's chip. Maybe they think at some point they can literally make the fake indistinguishable from the real. And people will just step into it and not even notice the difference. And that theme's been talked about before. I mean, Elon Musk, Ascent for Men, we know there's no bigger puppet that exists anywhere. Just a puppet doing the bidding for others. I mean, he's no genius. He probably can't even beat you in tic-tac-toe. When he drops something, it's because the Not Milk wants it dropped or wants it said, or so they can hijack a certain theme, like, he's going to speak. Quiet. Elon, the most brilliant genius man in the world, is going to speak. Everybody quiet. What was that commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks? Elon Musk is like that. It's like E.F. Hutton times a million. The chances of us living in base reality is 1 in billions. We've all heard that. It's been propagated artificially. But maybe it's propagated because there's a truth to it. Maybe this could be the third or fifth iteration of reality. Maybe we're in the 5,000s. Who knows? I don't think that changes at our core who we really are, who we still are. If this is the 5,000th iteration or Elon Musk reality that I've been fooled into, I'm not terribly concerned about it. It might be a little harder to get out or a little harder to win. I don't think in any way it's eroded. It might have eroded our understanding of ourselves, but where it counts, I don't think it's mattered. I'm not worried about it. But at some point, yeah, maybe it's just you don't have to choose it. You just all of a sudden they've met in the middle, what we call the real world and the Ray Kurzweil fake world. And this theme is played out in science fiction and fantasy novels and movies. And the one that comes to mind is a certain Star Trek movie where these nasty ass alien sons of bitches, I don't know what they wanted, the ore, the mining, or wherever. Maybe I think they had a water, like a fountain of youth. I think they had a fountain of youth or a lake of youth or something, and these guys had the phage or something. They were all diseased, and so they would get in there and go onto the planet or somehow get them into a holodeck. Once they're on a holodeck, they believe they're still on their planet. They're transported to another planet where then they get out and they think they're still in the same place, but they've been taken away from the waters of life. And is that their intent here? Their incrementalism is so slow and so patient and so inhuman. This is where I just, I'm not going to laugh at anybody, but all the people that the cataclysm's right around the corner and this disaster's right around the corner. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, just think of it from a common sense perspective. All the stuff they've went through. First off, if there's some sort of major cataclysm or the movie The Road is going to play out in a few years, or even an economic meltdown that would just kill hundreds of millions, do you think if some truthers know it, do you think then they would know it? Yeah, if some truthers know it, sitting in a bathtub, then they know it. They have access to a little bit more than, say, I would or truthers blogging from their bathtub. So if they know it, what did they go through all this stuff for? What was all the incrementalism of everything they do? And look at what they coordinated the world into the CV the last 2.5 years. And those 10,000 steps that all happened in order and back to back to move reality into a certain place. What did they do all that for? If there's going to be some major cataclysm or something, they got to go into the dumbs. Don't you know, Matt? They got the dumbs built, the dumb underground, that we're going to change it to dumb underground bunkers, not deep, dumb underground bunkers. What did they do? What did they play their hands in such a strategic and slow and incremental way for over the last, 2.5 years, they've really shown their cards. But over the last 20 years, over the last 200 years, what'd they do it all for? See, it doesn't make sense, does it? Because if the little truther blogging knows something big's going to happen in a year or two, then they know, right? And I don't mean to get on the people that have come to me and saw the signs. I saw the sign of the road is going to be out my back door. They saw the signs of they did see the signs. They're not crazy. Reality fed them the signs. It's Geico. It's what it does. We know that now. Okay, right now, if Steffers is listening, I think she's first of all, I'm not going to apologize for this one anymore. But Steffers is 5 times as smart as I am. Basically, like this is one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. But Steffers, you're getting too close to the magenta. She said this connection. Then I found it in this video, and this video connects here. That's what reality does. It's feeding it to you. Just be aware of that. Every so often, go back and get up in the hot air balloon and look down at what's... I'm not going to be able to put those pieces together like you can. No, but my role is to go back in the hot air balloon and at a very basic level see what's going on here and maybe where we're getting a little too close to it. Matt, did you say reality? Yeah, I think I did a few times. I can't completely drop where I came from. I grew up on cheesesteaks around here, Philly. We didn't sing the doo-wop and crap like you saw in Rocky. It was Sylvester Stallone's Frank Stallone or his little doo-wop crap. Take you back, doo-doo-doo. They didn't actually. That's bullshit. They done doo-wop around Philly since 1945 or something like that. But yeah, I probably said reality. So what? I say water too. Give me a glass of water. What did we? Well, WOOODER is what we say in Philly. I'll try to be better and say reality. What would they say in Liverpool? Reality. Sorry, I'm going to drop the and what are the chances that when Melvin was drawn up here, Melvin was drawn up in the magenta? Melvin P. Well, Matt, whoever gave that to you, they're in on it. No. See, real people, the realest of people, almost like predictive, from a predictive standpoint, can almost channel sometimes what's coming, or there's no coincidence that these colors were used. Nobody's in on it. That proves the person that sketched this out for me is as real as it gets because they chose that color. Maybe they chose it for reasons that they weren't even consciously aware of, but it's fascinating to me. Really? If you're at work, I'm showing another bowler. He's going for a spare, I guess. He's got his full N95 on. I mean, what if he just one of these bowlers said, I'm going for the championship here. I'm going to show me a little respect. I ain't wearing this thing. What you going to do? Throw me out? Not going to, all these 10, 12 viewers are going to watch this on television? I ain't wearing this thing, man. We need a lot of respiratory action. This is blocking my upper bronchioles, man. I ain't wearing this shit. He just threw it on the ground. What are they going to do? What you going to do? Going to throw me out? Disqualification. No mask. No mask? You show me that in your rule book. Show me in your rule book where it says I have to wear this damn thing. You can't show me that rule book. Sit down and shut up. I'm bowling. I got a spare to make. A few videos back, some real smart people, a lot smarter than me, came to me and said, Matt, why are you asking for a list of what's been destroyed? Everything. Where you been, old man? Everything's been destroyed. Just stop looking at comic book characters and Star Wars and Star Trek and sci-fi. Oh, they ruined the Terminator because you can't, that hybrid Terminator, you can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. Go right down to the basics. You're always talking about going back to the basics. They ruined the goddamn Waltons. I'm not talking about the TV show. Any normal family unit that existed. Well, maybe this was a little bit abnormal, a little too close. That family there, but it's still, hey, John Boy, if it was real, he'd be knocking up girls all up and down that town. He'd have baby mamas running around. They need to be raised somewhere. The grandparents are at home to raise them. Okay, they've ruined the Waltons. Everything has been ruined. This reality, The dark reality, people years ago questioned why I came up with ridiculous terms like not milk, Clinton backwards. Now, most of those people that maybe made fun of that, they understand that you can't point to it, you can't identify it, it stands in the shadows, it's nothing that will ever be brought up on a police lineup, and they're too focused. Most of you guys in the old guard, you saw this pretty quickly, but even these other outliers, the spitballers, they're starting to come around that, yeah, you can't just look at this little minion class by itself over here, or it's something that's much larger than all of this. Like this little secret society been pulling all this stuff. That's just a puzzle piece. You dump all the puzzle pieces out on the table. You got nothing better to do on a rainy day, and you spend all that time putting those dumb puzzle pieces together. This secret society over here, or what is Aleister Crowley? That's a puzzle piece. All right, it's a small piece of a general whole, a very dark reality that you'll never be able to point at, that has simple goals when you back up far enough. It says, if you could hear it talk, like the Lochnar, says there's still real sons of bitches down here, real spiritual entities. It's not solipsism. Who knows how many of us there are? Could be like a little bit more than solipsism. Hope there's 5 or 10 of us, or maybe there's 1 billion. We don't know. Who knows? It doesn't matter, because the Terminator is going to play its same game, just removing the real person from understanding who it really is, its spiritual nature, getting it to craft on and exclusively onto the ego, and shake hands with the slimy hands coming in, and abandoning the heart-based center for the ego and mind-based reality. Its tactics are the same every time. It seems to have lost its black magic in a replacement or in favor of its new technology. Maybe it was unsuccessful with its black magic, and now it's taking the technological route. It says someday these sons of bitches are going to wake up in a reality, and they won't even know. It will be what they had will be completely gone. This is reality replacement, and look, whatever they do to the screen, to you and me, it doesn't matter. That's the screen. It doesn't matter if you turn on the news and just everything's breaking down. Joe Biden is trying to get laws passed for his own personal use. People could have real marital relationships with lizards and geckos. It doesn't matter how much it breaks down. It will continue to break down. Of course it will. I mean, it's amazing the stuff people send me. They can't get you. You have the armor, the heart-based center. They cannot get you if you don't shake hands with it. That's like, the goal here could be so simple. The last conversation before you were born. You got to go into that reality. This is before you were born, spiritual, talking to whomever, talking to part of yourself, talking to God, talking to your best friend. You're going to go into that place? Yeah, I'm going to go into that place. It's so simple. All I have to do is remember who I am and not take its bait. Hold on to the essential parts of myself. That's all you got to do down there? That's easy. Then the old master comes by. That ain't easy. Boy, you go down. That's a hardcore pipe-hitting place, man. It seems easy. I just got to go down there and hold on to what I truly am. That's easy. It ain't easy. Better take that seriously, boy. It's that simple to me. It's that simple. Does anybody really think without what does your inner knowing tell you? Ask it right now. Does anybody really think it can come in and take the essential parts of you without you shaking hands with it, without your permission? Think about it. Think about it. You and me, man, we're the same. Think about it. Think about it. No, it can't. I can only speak for myself. Proclaim it can't. Believe it can't. Affirmations. I think that is such a big part of this reality. The affirmations. It's almost like before you go in there, the last conversation before incarnating, someone said, all you have to do is declare certain things to win. That's it. It's so easy. But you won't even think that's even on the table. You won't think that's a possibility. The other day, I thought, I think these declarative, if that's a word, affirmations are huge. Like I believe there's a part of me that's not here. I don't know what to call it. Higher self is a little foo-fooey, but I don't know what else to call it. What do you mean call it? Stan? Stan! Get me out of here. I said maybe one of the affirmations is, Stan, the part of you that's not here, needs to really collect all the data it can via you as the conduit, and it stands cut off. And all it takes to let Stan or the higher self access all the information or all your experiences is the person inside the snow globe, you just realizing it. So I just out of the blue said, well, if these assholes put a governor on this, I'm seeing through it, and I'm just to be safe, I'm allowing Stan or whatever the part of me that's not here to access all my experiences, all of them back through birth. Nothing is cut off, full information. And guys, it seems simple, but people would never think to do that. It might be literally as simple as declaring it or making it so. What did Jean-Luc Picard say when he wanted to put that mother effer into warp 2 or whatever? He didn't say punch it, or he didn't do no Han Solo quote. He didn't say engage warp drive nacelles, you sons of bitches. He just said make it so. So you just make it so. It's like the opposite of dangerous liaisons. What did he say, John Malkovich? It's John. Now, just when Michelle Pfeiffer falls in love with him, she's, I'm going to abandon the nunnery. I don't give a shit about the nunnery anymore. I want you, John Malkovich. I want to be the woman of the Vicomte. He says, I can't do this anymore. It's beyond my control. What you talking about? It's beyond your control. You just slept with me. Now I'm in love with your ugly ass. And he is an ugly man, John Malkovich. If you see, he's got these, the way they wore the stockings back then or whatever. That is not cool. He says, he was a cool character, though. It's beyond, I cannot continue this relationship, Michelle. It's beyond my control. He kept repeating it over. It was so annoying. There's something to that. When shit like that is presented in a movie, there's something to it. And it's the opposite. I take it the opposite. It means everything's in our control. Not beyond my control. Or my higher self stand to access everything. I just made it so. Make it so, Jean-Luc Picard. Do these affirmations all the time. Literally, it might be as simple as you go down there. All you got to do is realize certain things. Protect yourself here. Don't fall for this. Do the affirmations. Make it so. Declare it. But I'm going to go into the reality and that's all I got to do. But you won't think to do it. You'll think that notion is ridiculous. All you got to do is make it so. Anyway, I'm being a little repetitive. I totally believe in this shit. At the end of the day, this complexity, I cannot tackle this magenta thing on my own. It's beyond it's not beyond my control. I'm not going to give it that power. Right now, it's beyond my understanding. I eventually believe I will understand it. So Steffers is assisting me, but even what she presents me is I'm too dumb to understand. I mean, it's such high level. But I do know one thing, Steffers. You be very careful. You are right in the middle of reality, throwing you literally just artificial connections, artificial breadcrumbs, trying to get you to look here. It'll tap you on the shoulder so you turn around. No real world could have the connections that Steffers has found, and this connection ship to Blackpink, and the video relates to this and that, and it's off the charts. And she's throwing all these details at me, and I appreciate the work, the hours and hours and hours of work and things I could not have accomplished. But when she writes up her piece of mindful, what I do is I take as much as I can, but then I run back to the hot air balloon, and I look down at it from 100,000 miles up. And again, it's the same thing. No, the connections and the synchronicities and what Steffers is uncovering, no real world could do it. Impossible. No groups of secret societies running around it. It's so ridiculous. Just the old events they couldn't have pulled up. But the magenta, you wouldn't believe what these connections and what she's finding. No real world could do it. Impossible. Not identical, but put the hands out and say, impossible. Miss Vito, you liked her testimony. Did you, Mr. Wilbur, would you think everything Miss Vito said here was correct to the best of your knowledge? Yes. She's cute, too. What? Thanks for listening.